Hello, viewers. We don't have a guest yet. Today we'll be talking to Scot Mendelson. I wanted to briefly talk about a repercussion, I think, of the Mike Dolce interview that was posted yesterday or before yesterday by the time you see this. Essentially, in the interview, I think I sort of misspoke. I misrepresented what I meant to say, and it didn't get that much blowback. But I think some of the true fans of the channel felt that I was being harsh, and maybe questioned my intentions. I just wanted to explain to you folks about my comment on academic institutions' reputations. The reason why I questioned Lane Norton and Greg Doucette's academic certifications was not because I am calling to authority. It's not that I am saying if they don't have degrees from Harvard, don't listen to them. No, it's the exact opposite. I hate calls to authority. This is a traditional method of con men. They will always use the name doctor before their name, even if they're a chiropractor. They'll use doctor, then their name, then PhD, which is unnecessary. They'll have a master's degree of science like myself, and then they'll sign their name Leo Rex, comma, MSc, which is absurd. Or some people will even sign their name, comma, BSc, just to give that credibility and authority. So if you don't know what they're saying, you don't have to go figure it out yourself. Trust them. All I'm trying to tell you guys is if you're going to trust someone based on their certifications, based on the idea that they're a science guy, and if they have multiple degrees, it's easy for anyone to get into a bad undergrad. And it's true, it's much more difficult to get into PhD programs and graduate programs than it is to undergrad programs. However, if somebody has done 2 or 3 degrees in a row and all of them are not from top 50 institutions in their country, you can pretty much guarantee the person is a couple of things. Number one, they're probably nerdy, which is wonderful. They're curious, they're interested. And number two, they're probably not very intelligent or not very good at solving exams, at least, and coming up with unique research ideas and creative insight. Maybe they're one of those people that would be better teaching than researching. Maybe they're one of those people that reads abstracts and doesn't understand study design, statistics. And maybe they're one of those people that get very obsessed over this idea of calories in, calories out, and think that we don't understand physics. You know what I mean? So anyway, the point is, I was not trying to defame anyone here who's listening who's going to a poor institution or a not well-ranked institution at all. In fact, a lot of my clients are younger people, and I often encourage them with strategies on how to apply to better institutions and why it is great to study at an elite institution, because you're surrounded by people who are passionate and the best at what they do. So it gives you that kind of energy and inspiration that leads you to real great thinking and real great development in yourself. So that's really what I was trying to drill into. It's not that I am trying to take away, it's that I'm trying to question any call to authority. I'm never going to tell you guys that I have degrees that are important and you should listen to me, because I don't. They're not important. They're degrees in science. Sure, I have things. They don't matter. You should. That's why every time I make a video that's informative, I have either on the video the actual citations, and I don't include one. I do 20 or 30 per subject, because I review a full subject from back to front, because I'm not a biologist. I'm not a chemist. I don't understand that stuff, but I do understand studies. I do understand statistics. So if I get a very good overall perspective, I can know sort of what's going on in the field. So I include the citations for you guys so you can go look it out yourself. So you don't have to trust my authority. Oh, Leon Longevity knows what he's doing. He has a YouTube channel, so he knows, so I'm going to listen to him. Don't do that. Don't do that. Go figure it out yourself. And also in most of my videos now, the new videos, there'll be blog posts. And in those blog posts, you usually have sometimes 100 citations, 50 citations, and you have links, and you have exactly what I took from each citation. So you can click it, go search the citation, Google Scholar or scihub.see. Yeah, that's where you can find access to papers that you can't read on Google Scholar. So guys, the world is your oyster. Information is now free. It's democratized. You don't have to believe in calls to authority. Just like, the difference between Protestantism and Catholicism. In Catholicism, the Pope and the priest decide things between you and God. In Protestantism, it's free between you and God. Here, we're free between us and knowledge. We go figure it out for ourselves. Sure, we'll make mistakes along the way. We need to know statistics. We need to know study design. We need to understand survey methodology. We need to know all of these kind of things. And ideally, we need to know some chemical and biological subject knowledge as well. But we need to do it ourselves and not use these calls to authority. Like I'm a guru with the guy on Fuad's podcast, or Dr. Lane Norton, I'm a science nutrition PhD, or Greg Doucette on his cookbook writes, I have a bachelor's and kinesiology from God knows where. There's no need for that stuff. I'm Leo, and these are my citations, and this is what I think. Check it out for yourself. That's what I think.
Good. Let me turn up some volume here. All right. What's happening, brother?
It's good to see you, Scott. Welcome to the Biohacking and Powerlifting Show, episode 2.
Very cool.
Scott, we wanted to start the show with you, of course, but you got COVID, unfortunately. Have you recovered fully?
Yeah, I'm recovered. I'm about 3.5 weeks out from competing right now. So.
Yeah, I know. Can you tell us, before we start anything else, what is the new competition or what's the goal and how can people support you?
Well, basically, there are 9 guys in the world that have benched over 1,000 pounds. And at the IPA World Championships, it was a special invite-only meet developed by Tiny Meeker, where there were only 9 invites in the whole world, where the best of the best all go head-to-head during the World Championships.
Fascinating.
And that'll be in Kingswood, Texas on March 20th this year.
So all the 1,000-pound benchers will be there, including, so except Gina, of course.
Yeah, Gene's dead.
Gene's dead, and everybody else is there. Huh? Ryan Canelli will be there. And you know, Dave Palumbo actually had a gentleman on his show who has I forgot his name. He has a mohawk. He's from Ohio. He's competing there as well with you, I think.
Jimmy Colby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a really good guy.
He seemed like a really great gentleman. So Scott, you know, I wanted to do, because it's the first time you're on the podcast, I wanted to do a real interview, but I couldn't because we got so many Q&As. So what I want to do this time is we just take questions from the audience. I prepared them for you. They're on a bunch of different topics. And we'll start with the first one, which is Dan Carver asked, and I know the answer to this, but what is the history of the Mendelson name? Where does it come from?
You know what? I mean, I don't really know. I know it's German. But I'm a mutt. So I'm like,
you're the strongest Jew in history. Let's mention that first.
I am the strongest Jew in history.
Yes.
But I'm, Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, German, and Austrian. Wow. So I'm kind of a mutt. So, I mean, Mendelson is a German last name. But who knows where the hell it came from? I don't know. My family was from Russia originally and Ukraine. But the Mendelsons were from Russia.
And we should mention to the audience, we'll get more into this when we do a proper interview, but Scott's sister is also an extremely genetically gifted and elite athlete. And his grandfather was a boxing coach as well. My
grandfather was Rocky Marciano's stablemate.
Exactly.
15 fights, 9 losses, 75 knockouts. He was something.
It's a pedigree. I mean, Davey Boy, one of our commentators, said, if you don't know who Scott is, chances are you're not very serious about lifting heavy stuff. I want some of the younger people to know, because there are young people that don't know necessarily who Scott was. I'm 30-something, 33 years old now. When I was young, the reason I got into powerlifting in high school was only because of Scot Mendelson. I saw videos, I don't know where, maybe it was a body forums in those days. Right. Scott, 300 pounds, looking like he surpassed humanity, looking like he left humanity behind. And at that time, holding the world record of both the raw and equipped bench press, the only person in history who's ever done that, which is why I call Scot Mendelson the greatest bench presser in history, irrespective of the current bench press, because he's the only person who's ever done that. Right. But we'll get more into that in a bit. Scott Davenport asks you, what does he like better, arm wrestling or bench pressing? And well, we'll ask another question after. What did you like better? How did you like arm wrestling?
I love arm wrestling. I think it's awesome. I think the people are awesome. The sport's incredible. Other than they hate my guts. But, well, I'm a guy from another sport coming into their sport and wrecking them, and they're not happy about it.
Is the community?
I am going back to arm wrestling shortly. I just want to take care of this bench thing.
How does the community in arm wrestling and powerlifting differ? Is it closer knit in powerlifting or arm wrestling?
I mean, you know what? If I was the best in the world at arm wrestling, then arm wrestling would be the one. You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm not, I'm a part of the community of arm wrestling now, but I mean, I wasn't before at all. So they really did not take a liking to me. Powerlifting, and I don't give a fuck because, I can't stand them either. I just want to whoop their asses. So it doesn't matter to me how they feel as long as they go down.
Yeah, the audience does not know how little a fuck you can give.
Yes.
They don't know what's Scott. I'll tell you guys later. You'll see when he comes on more episodes. Howie B asks you, ask him about his experiences with the looters this previous summer, protecting his gym, and if he had any run-ins with these idiots.
Yeah, I did. We hold our own. So, me and my guys were quite armed in the front of my place. And I train a lot of law enforcement as well. So I know pretty much, we're across the street from the federal building, from LAPD, from pretty much everything right there. So it was a neat little scene. There was 200 of our officers out in the front and, just in all SWAT gear and everything. And there was so much going on that they couldn't protect the businesses, it was just out of control. Places were getting burned down and people were getting beat up, and it was a scene.
By the way, I moved down to Irvine to get away from
did you?
Yeah. By the way, this place is like heaven. There's no crime.
This is the ghetto.
Yeah.
I grew up in the ghetto, so
yeah, you're
quite comfortable here.
Well, I don't think anyone in Van Nuys is really going to approach you, especially the pickup, and then you get out of the pickup, it's even worse. The whole thing is a bad situation for them.
So there's a marijuana shop behind me, and they got Molotov cocktailed, and they asked the owner, "Oh, are you the owner?" And they beat him up, and my guys came to the front, and they were telling me about it, and a rather large group of men turned the corner, which were the guys that did the whole thing to the marijuana shop. And the guy looks at me and he goes, "Are you the owner?" And I was like, he goes, "What?" He goes, "Are you the owner?" I said, I can't really hear. Come here. So he ducks his head in, and I grab the back of his head and stick my double barrel shotgun in his mouth. And I said, and his friend had 2 Molotov cocktails behind him in his hand. And I told him, and sorry, but I'm going to be real here and just tell you how I told him. Yeah. I said, "Listen, motherfucker, you put those Molotov cocktails back in your bag or I'm going to blow your boy's head all over you." So he decided to concur with what I requested and put the Molotov cocktails back in. And I said, "So here's how it's going to go. I'm not the weed shop in the back, as you can now understand. What we're going to do is one of two things. I'm either going to blow your head off and start to blow all your other boys' heads off, or because I'm not aiming for the leg. We're going for the head. Or you could behave and I'll pull my gun out of your mouth and you guys could just gently walk away." So I pulled my gun out of the guy's mouth and he's all like shaking, and they walk away. And one of his boys next to him was like, "Hey man, we're not going back there. Those guys are different."
By the way, I know that shop you're talking about is right behind. It's an Armenian owned one, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right behind you.
Yeah, they're good people. They're just trying to run a business,
Yeah.
And the guy that I had my shotgun in his mouth turns around and goes, "Hey, those guys right there, they're cool." And that was the end of the problems. I think it pretty much spread. I was on Inside Edition and a couple other news stations and stuff. So I think the people in the general area that were looters kind of knew that they were going to die if they messed with me. So, I'm pretty open and shut. I'm a fair guy. I gave him his chance to live and he took it. And, but you got to understand, we work hard. I'm not going to let some bunch of idiots burn my place down, bro.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
Exactly. So, you got to hold your own. Yeah. And for the audience to know, Scott isn't just talking. Scott is an MMA guy, also fights. He's all into this combat
not
stuff.
MMA. I mean, we teach it at my spot. I mean, I'm not an MMA guy, but I was
not a competitor, but you fight.
Yeah, no, I can get off. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So listen, the most asked question, and I'll ask it from FAC 1 but the most asked question, and this is a huge topic right now, is first of all, of course, I know you hold him in high esteem. What's your thoughts of Julius Maddox and his attempts at the raw bench press record, which He's aiming for 800.
I think Julius is an incredible athlete. I think he's super strong, and I thought he had 800 in him the other day. 18 pounds, the way that thing went up. You know, he's a 450-pound man.
Oh, is he? Wow.
Dude, he is a big, huge motherfucker, bro. He is something that you just don't want to run into going down the street, bro. I mean, he's the real deal. He's amazing, and what he's doing right now is amazing, and I have the highest respect for him.
The weird thing is, and this is where a lot of people ask questions. They really want your opinion, but and I'm not throwing any shade on Julius, and we have great respect for him. It's just the audience, and they sent me the video, and he did say this indeed. So basically, he was on a video with Larry Wheels, who, by the way, I also know you hold in high esteem. And so Larry Wheels and him were talking, and basically Larry was asking him about his history with hormones, and he said that he was. If I'm to understand, natural for a period of time, but then he's on TRT now. And just my understanding, because I'm not a powerlifter and don't understand anything, but in my understanding, and I think most of the audience's understanding, we know that in performance sports, when it's not tested, usually you can't compete with people that are taking stuff unless you're taking stuff. It's just not possible. But especially in the bench press, because it's just very difficult in the bench press to compete with someone that's on gear, really on gear, and you're on TRT. I'm not asking about Julius, but is it possible for someone to use TRT and compete with the big dogs in the super heavyweights who are not tested? There's no way, right? It's not possible.
Listen, people, look at me in the eye. What are you, a fucking moron? Figure it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Next question.
Luke, exactly. Luke Rice Thompson asked, he said, this is, and I really wanted to know this, Scott, too. He said, what has he found to be the best thing he has done to help his nervous system recover between sessions as opposed to muscle?
I mean, people don't really understand that your central nervous system runs everything. You know, I mean, I know people, you've had like the best workout of your life at the gym, and then for like a month afterwards, you're like, ugh, you know what I mean? That's because you killed your CNS out. Now, there are goods and bads about killing your CNS out. Your CNS runs your muscular system. So if you're not firing hard on the CNS, you're not going to be 100% muscularly and strength-wise or performance-wise or whatever. So the good about it is if you're trying to get stronger and you're in a training cycle and you kill your nervous system out, about a month later, it comes back and you're stronger.
Interesting.
So in order for me to get to 1,200 pound bench, I've got to kill my nervous system out like 300 times. And that takes years and years and years and years to do.
And so you'll be weak for a period after, weeks.
Yeah.
And then it'll,
like when you overtrain, you kill it. You know what I mean? And then you're just weak and you're just not in the area that you want to be in. Now, that's good for a training cycle. What's bad is if you're competing and you kill it out beforehand. So you need to learn your body and see how your body works. And peaking at a competition is a science.
Yeah, of course. And I always tell my listeners, by the way, which we'll talk about more later, but the science of bench press technique, unbelievable. Scott, I only lasted twice with Scott. I didn't want to do it ever again because the level of science in the form is so, I mean, you can't imagine. I did one repetition and 45 minutes, I'm sweating, shaking, you know.
I mean, honestly,
there is a level of science that Scott takes to everything.
If I had Julius for a year, he'd be hitting 840.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to tell people. Don't understand the level. So
Julius is just that strong.
Wow.
There's very little technique. He just manhandles 800 fucking pounds. I mean, it's unheard of. He's out of control, man. I mean, I'd love to work with him, I think. And I offered it to him, I guess, for whatever reason, he didn't get back to me. But, you know, to have that kind of talent, because here's my prediction. He's going to hit 800 and then he's going to get hurt and you'll never hear from him again. That's my prediction. 18 pounds he's got in him. Once he hits that 800 pound barrier with the technique that he has, he's going to start blowing shit.
Really interesting.
Yeah, that's my prediction. And I don't want no harm to him or anything
of course.
Like that. Yeah. It's just you work with weight to a certain point and, you know, singular joints can't take that after a while.
So on this topic, the bloat lord asks, he says, what are your thoughts on someone who is able to bench press 650 pounds without learning any bench press technique at all at the weight of 300 or so? Like his toes are off the ground. And this is a real guy. His name's Andrew Kalura. He's on my show sometimes. What would his potential be if he came, he had no idea how to bench press, if he came and trained with you?
I think he's got world champion material.
Because he did 650, it's videotaped. I mean, the guy, his toes are off the ground. The worst form on earth. You're saying that's a world champion.
That's what we call cockstrong. You know what I mean? And he really, that's a lot of talent right there. If I can get a 650 pound bencher out of the box that doesn't know what he's doing, then that's real material.
Wow, this means a lot to the audience. They're great fans.
The problem is, here's the problem. You get guys that are that powerful, they're the big fish in a small pond. All my little guys on my powerlifting team last, but the big guys, unless they really want that world record, because they come to my gym, they're not the big fish. You need to, when I started powerlifting, I hired J.M. Blakely. I gave him a job at my gym. And I basically made my mind up that I wanted to be the best in the world. And my brain was on the shelf. And I always tell everybody this, but my analogy is I put a brand new dry kitchen sponge in my head just to absorb everything. No ego. I mean, if the dude would have told me eat that pile of shit on the floor, I would have done it, because I was that hungry.
And I know you mean this because, as the audience knows, I'm a friend of yours. He means what he's saying. Scott is the kind of person, determination, real.
Yeah, I will do whatever the fuck it takes. I went into arm wrestling and said I wanted to be one of the better guys. I beat Michael Todd. They cheated me, but I beat Michael Todd. Whatever. But the point is that in order to,
and to go, but wait, can we comment on that briefly, just for the audience to realize, to go from bench pressing to arm wrestling is an unbelievable feat. It's a totally different movement. So for someone to succeed at both, and not just succeed at both, but be the best in one and succeed at the other is really impressive. I mean, Sean Latimer, but it's not the same, but similar. Sean Latimer also made a transition.
But Sean didn't have that caliber of bench.
Not the same caliber, of course.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Sean was never pedigree.
Exactly. Now,
and I like Sean. Sean's a great guy.
No, with respect.
Huge man. He's a big motherfucker, man.
He's a tall guy too, right?
Dude, he's like 450 pounds. He's a big dude, man. He's,
By the way, someone commented on the thread thinking you're short. You're 6'2", aren't you?
No, I'm 6'1", but I don't have an ankle on my right leg.
I know. Yeah.
So I'm 5'11".
He's not short, though. No, he's not short.
6'1" on the other, depending on which roller coaster I need to get on.
So Sonny Smith, a few people asked you, how did you recover from your tear? How long did it take you to bench press again? Did you do anything special? Everyone knows about that tear.
What I did was this. I didn't reattach it because I knew that it would just come off again. The look wasn't really a major concern for me. I just wanted to perform. And I knew that, I can only go 500 raw now. I can't go any heavier than that. And that's why I don't do raw anymore. I wish to God, back in the day, I hit a 785 in the gym raw.
Did you? You never told me that. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And my ex-wife was like, you know what? You need to go out there and put it on record. And it was like, nobody did raw.
Yeah.
There was no raw. It was all equipped. So nobody gave a fuck. So I was like, for what? I already have the raw world record. What does it matter? Marcel, you were right. I fucked up. Now raw is huge. I mean, it's huge. And
hey, Scott, why do you think equip lifting went down and raw went up? How did that change happen?
You know what? I don't really know how it happened, but I know that raw lifting is much easier than equip lifting. Raw guys are like, oh, equip guys, da 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 da. That's why I broke the raw record. I was getting ready for the Arnold, and I was hitting 4 reps with, or triples with 735 and raw. And there used to be this forum called GoHeavy.com. And that was like the huge one that everybody was on, So the raw lifters would talk shit to the geared lifters. And one of my buddies was having a meet, Bob Packer was having a meet up north. So my old lift off guy, John Ford, he was from up north. He goes, dude, come up. You just break the record real quick. So I hit a 7:01. I broke Kazmaier's record is what I did.
Wow.
I went 7:01 at like 3:06.
Wow.
And I still have that world record.
Incredible.
And what I did was after that, James Henderson had 7:11. He was like 400 pounds. So I hit a 7:13. Wow. And then I broke it one more time and I went 7:15.
Unbelievable.
You know, so,
Unbelievable.
but you know, the raw movement, it's like the difference between raw and equipped is the equipped is so much more challenging in the respect that, you know, the equipment is made for your body. I have 800 pound shirts, 900 pound shirts. Actually, I don't have 800 pound shirts. I got like 900 pound, 1,000, 11, 1,200 pound shirts. And each shirt, the tensile strength, you know, it's built a little bit tighter in the chest plate. Mm-hmm. And the tighter the chest plate is, the more weight you can hit in it. Mm-hmm. But the science about it is you have to be the exact weight that shirt's supposed to be. Otherwise, if you're 3 pounds under, you'll get no pop out of the bottom. If you're 3 pounds over, you can't touch. So, you know, it's really, the new band shirts are much more forgiving, but the old shirts, the band shirts are like slingshots now.
Yeah. What do you think of the band shirts?
I'm using one. I think it's fucking awesome.
Oh, are you really? They're cool.
Yeah,
huh?
I'm with Pharrell and.
So you're a bionic man now.
Dude, the shirts are fucking great. Cause you know, it used to take me 2 months to break a shirt in. And in that 2 months, you had to go through literal hell. Wow. You know, so breaking it in.
Will everyone at the competition be in the, what will it be, single ply?
Whatever. They don't care. This is IPA.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
And I'm now state chairman for the IPA. Really? I took that on. I was APF. Actually, they don't know yet, but I'm telling them right now online. Giving APF up. They don't know yet. But the reason is because they're not trying to strive into the future. And that's why on the West Coast, there's really no APF, but IPA, they do the band shirts, they do different things. And so I've decided I'm going to do that. So people, you're the first hearing it. I'm now state chairman for the IPA.
On Leo's channel. This is awesome.
That's right. And we're going to start having competition as soon as everything opens back up. And it's going to be really fun.
All right. We'll title the video with that so everyone knows. Origami Wizard asks you, what are your tips for people that have long arms that want to bench better? Is there something specific for people that have long arms?
Well, the bottom line is when you have long arms, it's against you. But there's a certain way to bench that we can shorten up your stroke by about 8 inches. But you can do that with the short arm guys too. So you're always going to have that disadvantage because you're long armed. You just need to get big enough to cover that range to where you're strong enough.
Exactly. So actually on that subject, Omar Rahim says, do you need a big belly to be a big bench presser?
No, I don't have a big belly.
You don't have a protruding belly, but yeah, you have abs. He's going to show us. He always does this stuff. It's not visible on camera, but in person, he has all kinds of abs. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, look, my belly sticks out because, you know, when you bench,
you force it out all the time.
You stick your belly out all the time. So you build kind of like per your sport, you know what I mean? But I don't have that huge belly. I kind of wish I did because my stroke would be so much less.
Actually, that's what Julius has, a huge belly. So I noticed that he's way shorter stroke. Yeah, it's way shorter.
But see, Julius doesn't use his belly.
Oh, he's not even using it right, huh? Because he's going higher, right? Yeah.
Julius, it's high. He comes down in between his chest and his belly.
Yeah, I saw that. That's true. Oh my God. If he worked with you, I wish that would happen.
Ridiculous. I mean, he's already ridiculous. You know, what do you tell a guy that hits 800 pounds that his form's wrong? It's like.
Exactly.
You know I mean? It's like he's already the strongest guy in the world raw. So it's like, you know. So
Safe Life asks you, how should you really train your rotator cuffs to prevent injuries? Like, because.
I mean, the bottom line is you need to bench correctly. If you're benching and your shoulders come forward, that's your rotator cuff damage. Mm-hmm. If you're benching and you keep it back, you never even hit the rotator cuff.
Yeah. And I never, by the way, I used to read this just for the audience who's like me, the people read stuff online, never been with someone like Scott. I used to read this for years and try it until I actually sat with Scott on the table. I had no idea what he meant. I mean, you feel nothing on your shoulder. It's not there anymore. There's no.
Yeah, I supersede the shoulder with my bench form. So
Yeah. It's incredible. So JJ1 Fitness asks something that I think many people don't know. You were a great friend of Rich Piana. I mean, like decades long friend. He asked, get Scott to tell some stories about him and Rich Piana.
I mean, Rich was a great guy. And I mean, and I've said it, I'll say it again. The world is a worsened place without him. He had balls. He went out and people told him no. And he was like, fuck you, I'm doing it my way. And he did it. And he he knew he was going to die. He wanted to go out big. He wanted to go out his way, and that's the way he did it.
Yeah, I remember asking you about it afterwards, and you said, do you think that he'd be okay with how it happened?
He would have been alive today if he would have just went to the fucking doctor.
Fascinating. Big Wes asks, so he says I have 2 herniated discs in my neck, C4, C5, C6. I train like a bodybuilder, but when I bench, I tuck my elbows in, bring my shoulders back, and I push through like a powerlifter. Do you have any tips I can do to take my pressure off my neck when I bench?
You know what? We bench on our traps. So it's kind of tough.
That's true. That's a very good point.
That's a tough one. And even like the new bench style, I used to lift my head up all the time. Now with the band shirt, I'm back like this. Because when you sit back, it sticks your belly out more. So you're fucked.
God, listen, you're already a character on the show. I'm so glad you showed your personality. You got to come on more often. You're going to promise me.
I will. You know what? I was going through a bunch of shit and
I know, but from now, like
about this pandemic thing and my business was tripping and and I'm sorry, Leo, I fucked up. And
no, not at all. But
I'm publicly apologizing to you. I love you.
Not at all. But what I'm saying is I'm going to keep contacting you to get you back reoccurring.
Absolutely.
But before we finish,
I want to talk shit with you.
Before we finish, I want to ask you 2 more questions, and these are mine. Okay.
Ask me whatever you want, bro.
The first one, 2 more because I wanted to be sure, but one of them actually is related to something someone asked. Have you ever had a physical altercation with a powerlifter? But you don't have to say who. You don't have to say who. But have you ever, you guys, because these are bodybuilders watching, they don't know what happens with powerlifters. Do you guys ever fight? Has there ever been an altercation, maybe at a club, for example, somewhere abroad?
A club? No.
No, you're not gonna. Okay.
No, I've had a couple altercations. But never has it turned into a fight.
Strip club, for example. Well, not in a fight. Yeah, exactly. But you guys get very angry at each other.
Strip clubs my whole life.
Yeah, you guys don't get angry.
That for sure. It never happened there. I'm not a strip club kind of guy because, the bottom line is you pay and you don't get shit.
I know So
why would you go to a fucking strip club? It's like ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. I don't know why anyone goes on that. It's such a waste.
And I'm not that guy that a chick could sit on me with my pants on and I can come. It's not happening. So.
All right. Final question.
I wish it did happen like that. I wish I could do that easy.
Final question, Scott. Hey, by the way, when is the meet? Is it very soon?
Yeah, about 3.5 weeks.
Oh, 3.5 weeks. Okay. So we might get a chance to speak to you right before, if you have time right before or right after, hopefully. Right. But last question. Does like growth hormone make you stronger? Not you, other people. Does it make anybody stronger or does it just make you bigger over time?
I mean, you know what? I don't think it makes you stronger.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It multiplies the muscle cells. I mean, short term, I don't think it makes you stronger. But long term, if you can take those muscle cells and build up more mass, you would obviously get stronger.
But to get into higher weight classes. So do you think it's useful for people who are in lower weight classes in powerlifting?
Sure. See, growth hormone strengthens tendons and ligaments. So nothing else does.
You feel like it didn't because these bodybuilders are always ripping their tendons and ligaments. I thought it was maybe because they're taking so much growth.
Well, no, bodybuilders tear because they deplete.
You think so?
You got to understand, if you're lifting what you shouldn't and you're nutritionally not taking in,
They don't.
then you're just a time bomb.
So you don't think that G is at all responsible for the weakening of joints or anything like that? You think it's actually strengthens. And very interesting. Well, this is and we're hearing from an expert on the subject, so people can.
Only I've read about it. I don't know.
He's just, he reads a lot.
Reading. I'm a total reader.
These are actually Scott's books. I just borrow them from everything. All right, Scott. Well, listen, good luck. We're going to talk on text, but good luck if I don't speak to you before. And then right after, we have to have you back on the show.
Hey, Leo, I love you anytime, brother.
I love you too, of course, brother. I'll see you soon.